Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second recording of Miss Dr. Kenya. I am excited today. I have two members of the Youth Council that I am kind of super excited about. They both are very important to me. Young people who um, are both in middle school. I think that's important because when I look at the data, I understand that middle school is hard. There's a lot happening at middle school to include bullying. So I feel like these two young people who are joining me today are experts, far better able, more experienced to talk about this particular topic than I am. So I am going to stop and pause and introduce you to these two amazing souls. I am going to start first with Darren. Darren, would you introduce yourself to the Miss Dr. Kenya YouTube channel?
Um, I'm Darren and I'm in seventh grade.
Thank you, Darren, in the seventh grade. Lang, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Hi, my name is Lang Maeve, and I'm in seventh grade, and I like building Legos in my spare time.
Amazing. Thank you, Darren and Lane, for joining me on today. Again, they're both in the seventh grade, which means they are both in middle school. And if you know anything about school, you know that middle school can be very, very scary and very overwhelming because people tend to show up very mean in middle school. I'm not necessarily sure why. Last month, we talked about a mentally healthy return to school. And so it just made sense that we would take the time and pause and talk about some of the things that kind of hinder us from having a mentally healthy return to school. And that is very obviously bullying. So October is National Bullying Prevention Month. And I wanted to stop and pause and just talk about bullying, what it is, how do you know that you are a victim of bullying? How do you know if you are a bully? Some things you can do to support yourself around it. But again, I do not believe in having conversations about things that impact young people without talking to young people about it. Thus, we have both Darren and Lang with us here today. So, Darren and Lang, from your perspective, how would you define bullying?
I define bullying as a person who mistreats you and calls you names.
Okay.
Bullying is where someone tries to break you down, whether it's physically or emotionally.
Okay. I think those are both beautiful definitions. Now, I have a question because when I did some research about what is bullying, there were a couple of websites that kind of stood out for me. One for the APA, that stands for the American Psychological Association. There is actually a website that the government has created called stopbullying.gov. And then there was a website called Pacers, right? And the APA, I'm going to look at my definitions because I don't want to misquote to you guys. So the APA defined bullying is a form of aggressive behavior in which someone intentionally and repeatedly causes another person injury or discomfort. What do you guys think about that?
That is very accurate.
Okay. All right.
It's something that's like the most common way.
Okay. Now, it goes on to say that bullying can take the form of physical contact, words, or more subtle actions. The reason why I put an asterisk by that particular definition is because it did not mention cyberbullying. So, do you guys think that you can be bullied like on social media or electronically? Like, does it have to be face to face? I see two heads shaking. Tell me
No,
about that.
well, People could leave hate comments, and that brings other people down in other ways.
It does have to be face to face. It could also be by what people comment or what people say like through text.
Okay. So the APA's definition is great, but it didn't mention cyberbullying. So I kept looking. And then I came to stopbullying.gov, and it says bullying is unwanted aggressive behavior among school-age children that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. And this does say that there are three types of bullying: verbal, social, which for me would include social media, and physical. What do you guys think about that definition?
That actually happens in the real world.
Okay. I like that you said that actually happens in the real world, Lang, because let me tell you what stood out for me. In this particular definition on stopbullying.gov, it specifically says school age children. And that bothered me just a little bit, kind of just like the APA's definition bothered me just a little bit, because it makes it specific to something that happens in school. And unfortunately, the truth of the matter is, bullying happens everywhere, even among adults at work, right? So I don't want you guys to think that bullying is just something that happens at schools or just something that young people, seventh graders in particular, have to worry about it. Believe it or not, bullying affects all of us. Just like it affects seventh graders at schools, it affects adults at the workplace. It affects teenagers when they are hanging out with their friends at the local boys and girls club. Like, we all are dealing with bullying. It's not just specific to school age kids. So I like that definition, and I agree with you, Lang. It is something that really, really happens, but it's something that really, really happens to all of us, not just you guys. I think that's important for you to know. So I kept looking, and then I came across this definition on Pacers Kids Against Bullying.org. And it says that bullying is when someone is hurt by unwanted words or actions, usually more than once, and has a hard time stopping what is happening to them. Now, what do you guys think about that video? Darren, what do you think about that one?
That one's true. That one's true because sometimes bullying doesn't just happen once, it happens multiple times. It can happen nonstop.
Okay. Do you think that if somebody says something super harsh to you one time, if it only happens once, is it still bullying?
Yes.
Absolutely. And what makes that one time harsh enough to be bullying, in your opinion?
Because if you don't have nothing like nothing nice to say to that person, then just don't say it.
Lane, what do you think about that? Can you be bullied one time by a person?
Yes, you can be bullied one time by a person, and maybe next time they'll just take advantage of the fact how you just let it slide the first time instead of just going to a teacher.
Oh, okay. So you already have gone into the next part of our conversation, and that is kind of, what do you do if you find yourself being bullied? So I heard you mention if you let it slide and or you don't go and talk to a teacher. Tell me more about that. What do you mean when you say let it slide?
Like, you could just go to a teacher and tell you're being bullied, or you could just let nothing happen, and then the next day they'll do it over and over again.
Okay. So I hear you. So when again, doing my research, right? And I was looking up things that you can do to protect yourself from a bully, to prevent bullying, all of the things. one of the pieces of advice that it did say, and I think this is what you're tapping into, Lane, is that you should be confident and learn how to advocate for yourself. But what that means in my mind, in my adult mind, is that you prepare yourself for bullies way before you actually run into a bully. One of the things that makes bullies successful, and when I say successful, what I mean is one of the things that makes you afraid, scared, intimidated, that makes you cower, that makes you retreat, whatever your response may be to a bully, it is because more often than not, that bully has tapped into an insecurity. Do you know what I mean when I say an insecurity?
I think I do. Means like a personal flaw.
It definitely means something that you don't like about yourself. Darren, is there another way to describe insecurities? Do you agree with that definition that Lang and I came up with? Okay. So one of the things that makes bullies powerful is the fact that they do tap into insecurities that you have about yourself, things that you don't like about yourself. And so what I heard Lang saying is, when a bully approaches you and they say something to you that is mean or nasty, is to not believe what they're saying, to remind yourself that you are not all of the mean and nasty things that the bully is saying about you, and to stand firm in who you are. Is that what you were saying, Lang, or did I misunderstand you?
You got it.
All right. All right. Thank you for that. Darren, what are some other things? Now, I had a conversation with you off camera, so I know that you and your school are fresh off of a pep rally in reference to October being National Bully Prevention Month. What are some of the things that your school shared with you about how to prevent bullying or how to protect yourself from a bully?
They were telling us that we should like speak up. So if we see someone being bullied, we should tell somebody about it. And then if they're being bullied, we should tell somebody about it as well.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you to use those strategies and skills that your school shared with you and talk up, because I couldn't understand you. Okay. So I want you to breathe and say that for me one more time, loud, and own it and be proud of it so that I can hear you fully.
So they told us to say if we see somebody getting bullied, that we should speak up for them. And then if we're being bullied, we should also speak up about it. And we shouldn't like hide it.
Okay, so your school gave you similar instructions to what Lang said, and that is number one, be confident in who you are, and then advocate for yourself or for somebody else if you see them being bullied. So speak up, tell a teacher if you are being bullied, and or if you see somebody being bullied. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So when I, was doing the research, it did say to be confident, as Darren and Lang have shared. It did say to talk about it. You want to make sure that you're not holding it in. And for me, I think that's important in reference to not holding it in, because what I would not want either of you to do or anyone else who's being bullied is to start to believe the lies that the bully is telling them, and or to take it personally. When I say take it personally, what I mean is sometimes when like a bully victimizes you, a bully is mean towards you, you start to think that there's actually something wrong with you. And that is not the case. If a bully comes up to you and attacks you or any way, the issue is not yours. The issue belongs to the bully. It's something in them that makes them think it's okay to hurt other people. Okay? So it's important that you talk about it with your teacher, talk about it with your friends, go to a school counselor, that you take advantage of all of your resources so that you do not take what the bully says and or does personally, right? You cannot own their bad behavior. But another piece of advice that came up and on all of the different sites was staying connected, meaning to have yourself like a really good group of core friends who can, again, who you can vent to, who can, like Darren said, help you to advocate for yourself. Go and tell a teacher, go and tell an administrator, go and tell a caring adult that they have seen something bad happen to you, see that you've been bullied. But they also said that staying connected and having a good group of friends is helpful because when you tend to travel like in groups, the bully is less likely to attack you. Is that true? Like, is traveling with your friends in the hallways or from class to class helpful as it relates to like insulating yourself or protecting yourself against a bully? Is that an effective strategy that you have seen used, or do you think that it would be helpful?
It probably depends because they may not like your friends and or they may not like you or sometimes they don't care what your friends would think or if you're in a big group so they might still actually hurt you.
Okay. So you said it depends whether or not they like or respect your friends. Um, but sometimes even in a crowd, a bully will still attack you. Lane, were you about to say something? Because I want to make sure I'm not cutting you off.
I was about to say yes, walking with my friends does make it easier because my friend Amir, he always butts in to when someone tries to say stuff about me.
Very good. I like Amir a whole bunch. Thank you, Amir. How about telling the bully stop? That was a suggestion that was put out there. Does like standing up for yourself, telling the bully to stop, perhaps using humor if that's your personality, kind of like redirecting the bully's anger, like advocating for yourself and using your voice. Is that helpful? Whoever wants to respond.
All right. I think I lost it.
That's okay. I'll repeat the question for you. So my question was, does advocating for yourself work against bullies? Whether you just flat out say, stop, I don't think this is funny. Whether you use humor and say something like, you just mad because all the girls like me. I don't know. Or just trying to redirect the bully's anger verbally. Is that helpful? Have you seen it work? Have you tried it? How do you think that particular intervention will work out?
Yes, I have seen my friends get into that type of scenario with bullies, and my friend handles it very well when it comes to talking or redirecting the conversation.
Awesome. Darren, what do you think? Do you think that might be helpful as far as getting the bully to leave you alone?
Not all the time because it depends on also how bad it's gotten. Because if you kind of let it slide for too long, maybe they're going to just keep doing it because they probably don't think it's serious.
Okay, so what I heard you say is it depends. That if you start to advocate yourself after you've been bullied for a while, that the bully may not take you serious and may not hear your voice. So do you recommend that a person would start to use their voice and advocate for themselves early on, like the first time that they are bullied? Or
Yeah,
perhaps the second time they are bullied?
maybe the first time.
The first time you're bullied, use your voice and advocate for yourself. Awesome.